The morning after, the night before. Welcome to another episode featuring washing up at the Hidden House Island. It's been freezing in County Kerry this last week. Frosty mornings. A struggle to keep warm. Thankfully, the boys have electric blankets. I think they've been retiring to bed a little bit earlier than usual in an attempt to keep warm. Did you notice in that opening sequence how much better it's looking in front of the house? Now it's all been levelled, the huge mound's gone, and we start to be able to envisage what we want to do with the landscaping of it all, planting around the house. We do plan having a turning circle and maybe a little mini roundabout on the inside of that. Again planted up, and maybe a little fountain as a feature. But now I am running ahead of myself. A long way to go before we're ready for that. It would be nice though, wouldn't it? Can you visualise that? Like a little circular garden that you could drive around. Now what else has been happening since last time? Oh yes, the electrician has been back and all the walls have been chased out. You can see there that the cables are in the recess against the wall. Most of them are, those are still hanging down. We've just got to wait for the insulation to go in, which will be the next big job. And the boards, insulation boards that Noel will use, have to go all the way up there into the rafters, high up. A big job. To be honest, it's the higher part of the building, because it's so high up, that's going to be the challenge. And when the electrician and plumber were here talking with Noel, they were a little bit doubtful that he would be able to achieve his deadline without getting extra help in. That's something he'd hoped to avoid, to keep the costs down, but he had been getting tired. And I know he'd been getting anxious too, and that's when accidents happen. One morning Sunday morning actually, it was Remembrance Day, because I remember I got home from work and rang him as I normally do, and he didn't answer his phone. And so I rang Sid. Sid answered and said, we're in A&E. Never what you want to hear when you're a long way away in a different country. He said he thinks he's dislocated his finger. This is the photo they sent me. He was high up, using a drill. He had to steady the membrane with one hand, and then the drill bit hit something hard and it just spun round quickly. He couldn't get his hand out quick enough. He thought he'd just dislocated his little finger, but when they took an x-ray, he had actually broken his hand in two places. So they put a cast on it. He's well. It could have been a lot worse, but it means he's been out of action for the last 2 weeks. Obviously he's upset about that, he's annoyed with himself, but, I'm just glad he's all right. And sometimes these things come to slow you down. And sometimes, who knows, possibly avoid something more serious happening. So we just count our blessings and deal with it. Now this I'm showing you here is previous footage before the injury. So while the electrician and plumber were in the house, Noel and Sid kept out of the way and cracked on with the garage. Here Noel is working later into the evening, because when it starts to get dark, it's easier to see the laser light for making sure the blocks are level.
ready now for starting to install the insulation. You need 85 millimeters of insulation on these outside walls, but the first job is to put some tape. It's like an air tightness tape around the windows. It's probably a really bad picture, that, but we're going to try and get on with that today, and I'll show you what it's made of. So we've got this passive house tape, and it's called a split release tape, and from what I've been looking up, it comes so there's already a split in it there, and the idea is this section comes off and goes onto the windowsill, onto the window frame, sorry. That goes onto the window frame first, and then we'll show you as it happens, but then you peel the back off and this bit sticks then. But because we have the eco mesh, it's probably not going to create an airtight seal. So I think what we'll do, we'll half put it on there, and then we'll have to put some like a silicone bead down there as well to see how it goes. Anyway, that's not very well explained, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll get there, I'm sure. You have to do the corners first. So in order to do a corner, you take a strip of the tape, you put a little slit in it there, up to that 15 millimeter mark there, and you take one side of the tape off, and then literally fold it very well, am I really? Fold it where you cut it. Maybe fold it first and then cut it afterwards, eh? And then stick that to that. So you're building a corner piece. So we'll start by peeling some of that off. Should have maybe had a few practice goes before we tried to explain it to the world. There we go now. And that should press into a corner and make a seal. Seals on there. There is a special adhesive in a tin for sticking it to the masonry, so maybe we'll see if it sticks first. So we peel that out, stick that down. Oh, it's actually a really good stick actually. So that's stuck to the window frame now, and it's stuck. It's actually really good. And that is a taped corner. So we do all four corners first, and then run some lengths up and down the window and across the bottom and across the top.
It's been so cold this week in the house in Cornwall that I've been wearing about 3 layers of clothes to try and keep warm between when the heating comes on and goes off. I just can't have it on constantly all day long. So you just have to have hot water bottles and blankets and stuff like that. And, you know, it's single glaze windows that we have here because it's a grade 2 listed building. And it just makes me aware that when I'm putting this together and we're seeing all this work we're doing, it'll be so worth it. Yes, it's a lot of work, but trying to get your house maximally insulated really does matter. It really is the most important thing, just to, you know, the thought of having a constant temperature that you don't even notice the temperature because there is no chill in the air. You just feel warm and comfortable all the time. You're not getting these extremes of hot and cold, like blasting out your central heating and then it chilling right down. It's just steady and constant with the underfloor heating, and that really is bliss. Makes us realise why we're doing all this, and that it will be worth it in the end.
Just have a quick look round, see what's going on. The first fix electrics is now complete, so all the wires are not dangling anymore, they're just safely tucked away in the sockets. So that's all good, makes the place look a bit neater again. There's a lot more studs have gone into the eco mesh. There's still a few bits, I'm waiting for some more studs, I've got them on order. And the same through here, all the wiring now, all the sockets, all the 2-ways and the 1-ways and the 3-ways, everything should be explained. Lots more studs on the wall in here as well. And another job Sid has been doing is putting all the passive house tape, the airtight tape, around all the windows, and that's all been sealed now. There's one window left to do, but because of circumstances I can't get to drill more studs into the wall where that needs to be. This is all ready in here as well, all the tape around the windows as well. And through into the extension we've had the first delivery of plasterboard and wool insulation and different thicknesses of insulated plasterboard and some plywood, some bits of jobs, and some PIR and some studs and fixings and some timber. So we're kind of getting moving forward. These windows have all been taped up as well. You see at the moment the weather's still bad. It's almost like condensation on the outside of the windows now. So whether there's warm moist air out there and there's only cold dry air in here at the moment, that's the only reason why you get condensation. But we'll see. It is a bit rainy again still, but it's not too bad, still quite mild. It was cold this morning, and that's where we're at. So a lot of this hopefully next week should be going up there, but I might not be doing it because like an idiot I have broken 2 bones in my hand, which was unexpected and not very welcome. So I'm a bit incapacitated for doing these heavy jobs, so my job is tidying and making a fuss, but hopefully I've got some help. Help is on its way, which it was going to be a big job anyway. It's high up there and it's awkward, and in some ways I've got someone in just to see if they can do the ceilings, all the ceilings for me, and then by the time my hand is mended, hopefully then I can come back in and do the walls, which is more manageable. But it's not looking too bad. Not looking too bad at the minute. There are little jobs I can carry on with. So onward and upward. We'll keep trying to do a few of these small jobs while the weather's good. There's an area here where I chipped off the cement off this back wall that needs clearing, so we'll just get down while the weather's nice, which it very much is today, and we'll just have a bit of a clear up.
Sorry? Do you want me to go slower?
That's just a bit slower. You're checking that one, yeah? Let's have a quick look at some of this insulation. Some of all of it has arrived, if that makes sense, and I'll try to explain what it's been used for. These pieces here are 62 millimeters, which is 50 millimeters of insulation, 12 millimeters of plasterboard. Over here we have rolls of insulation wool, that's 150 millimeters thick, and over here we have some 82 millimeter boards, which is 70 millimeters of insulation, 12 millimeters of plasterboard, and we also have some 75 millimeter PIR, which has no plasterboard on it, and there's a few sheets of 29 mil. So I'll show you where it all goes. The 62 millimeter boards go up above the ties. The ties are the pieces that go across the roof here. So above the rafters and in between the rafters is two layers of 150 millimeters of wool, one going between the ties and one length going long ways to give a 300 millimeter insulation capacity, with a 62 millimeter board on the underside of the ties. Up here into the rafters we have a layer of 150mm wool, and on the underside of the rafters we have to put the 82mm, if that makes sense. And the plasterboard then here gets stuck to the walls all the way around, and then at some point we have to get the walls pumped. There's an 8-inch cavity in the walls, and that will be pumped with insulation, if that makes sense. So in the old part of the house, between the ties again, 300mm of wool and 62mm of insulated plasterboard on the underside of the ties, and into the rafters we have to put 75mm of PIR and 80mm of insulated plasterboard over the top of that. And all the walls that have been covered in the eco mesh, all the external walls, have to have the 82mm on us also. And the window returns, that is where the 30mm goes, or the 29mm goes. And also this rear wall in the little ensuite there, the rear wall, which was an external wall, is now an internal wall, needs 30mm boards putting on. And in the bathroom here, I'm going to line this out with plywood, and then that'll have a waterproof plasterboard put on top. And up into the flat roof here we have, it needs 150mm of PIR up into the, between the whatever they're called but we also need to have holes between all these whatevers, so that there's a airflow between. So 150mm up and a 62mm board on the underside and a 30mm board on the cheeks up to the roof windows there. So that's kind of it. It's a lot. It seems like a lot here, but it won't go far once they start digging into it. So that is a quick rundown of the state of play with the insulation. The little job we can get on with, just while everything's on a go slow, is trying to create a temporary rainwater system to direct the rainwater from the gutter into the drainage system. We'll do this in the old traditional Japanese method, although we won't be using chains, we'll just be using a bit of rope. That's it. And now we need to attach the bottom bit. The drain. So there we have it, very simple. One piece of cord from the outlet on the gutter down to the inlet of the land drains, not the land drains, but the stormwater drain, and now we should give it a bit of a test.
Just to be clear, this is a very temporary measure to prevent rainwater from running down the walls and causing the stone to get damp while we're waiting for the drain pipes to go in.
I think there needs to be more tension in the rope, or maybe more rope even.
It was okay, but it wasn't great. So they had the idea of using 3 ropes to provide more friction for the water as it travelled downwards. Hopefully, this would help keep the flow on track.
There's the 2 holes at the back.
But will it work? Yes, that's better. Thank you once again for watching. We hope you're all managing to keep warm and well. I think Noel and Sid are looking forward to some home comforts now, and it won't be long before we're all together again. We'll let you know as soon as there's more to report. In the meantime, look after yourselves, take care. Bye for now and God bless.